Hi guys, have you done? Have you done answering the scenario questions? Okay, and this time the urban chair approaches. You will understand how chair can be used in urban slum. Two people talking about the chair approaches. First, change for rural settings. It can work in an urban slum setting. You're right, the people in the city are all too different. Yeah, people are from all of the country and they don't look at this place and their real home. And people are only looking for a way to earn a living, not help anyone else. As I said, Che is not for urban slum. So what do you see? Yeah, I guess there are misunderstanding about the Che program. And what about you? You do? After this lesson, you can understand. I hope. Okay, case study, urban Che neighborhood approach. Our target with a large city is a small, identifiable neighborhood in which to minister. And this primarily community-based model, but with much more time spent in entering the community parts. Because there is such a diversity in an urban slum, it is more difficult to start a CHEP program because people hold so few things in common and have a little or no sense of unity. And therefore, it is critical to find many subcommittees, subgroups within your geographic neighborhood. The most obvious subgroups could be identifying ethnic groups living together in the same area, but in many slums, this grouping may not be present. A natural subgroup is with a church in the target slum that have vision to reach out to their neighborhood in a holistic way. If such a church or the churches are found, then the church basic approaches is best used with volunteer trainers from the church, right? And it is more important in an urban setting to have a physical presence in a neighborhood, such as some of a training team living in the neighborhood and having physical location to work from. And once you have chosen your neighborhood, it is useful to rent an apartment or a small house in the neighborhood for a place to live, or as the team's headquarters. This is the beginning of the entering the neighborhood process. So I rented this office in the community because of where the outside these villages are very poor, like a slum. And you then begin to do multiply activities in the neighborhood, possibly based in the team's headquarters that would bring people together. And such things might be drop in a coffee house, another might be a children Bible club. The key is to find activities that people will come to. During these activities, you build relationship and some trust with individuals, making relationship. And during the informal times, you talk individually or informally in groups about what the people like and dislike about their neighborhood. And similar to what is done in a group awareness meeting, but one much less formal basis. You need to identify the assets already existing in the neighborhood. All individuals have skills, knowledge, and things that they are passionate about. The key is to identify what the individuals in the neighborhood assessed already. And secondly, we want to identify what groups and cause associations are already in the neighborhood and join them. You find small groups of people that have similar interests and help them do something in regard to their collective interests. At some point in this entering the neighborhood process, you want to have a large neighborhood mixture that is fun with food, games, music, etc. And at the gathering, you explain some of the things that have been going on and ask the neighborhood if they would like to do something as a larger neighborhood. The intent is to mobilize the people you have been developing relationships with, encouraging to come together with others to see what might be done collectively in their neighborhood. This is more formal awareness meeting, which is the beginning of Noban Rural Neighborhood Basic Chair program. So another important element is to begin to develop a database of all the services available to the people living in your neighborhood, whether these services be in the neighborhood or not. So most people living in urban slums do not know what services are available to them from the government, NGOs, or churches. And if they are aware of them, do not know how to access them. So while you are gathering this information about other agencies, NGO, government, churches, and you start to develop relationship with these agencies in order that when people in your target neighborhood have a specific need, you can send them to agents that already provide those services. This means we are not duplicating services, nor do we have to provide the creative services, but can concentrate on the prevention, equipping people, and being catalyst for fostering change in our target neighborhood. From the awareness meeting comes the forming of a committee, which is trained by training team. The committee then chooses the CHE volunteers who are trained by the training team. As the CHEs are undergoing training, the CHEs and the trainers do home visiting together. So urban chair versus rural chair. Based on what you know about the chair and what problems might make a rural chair model more difficult to implement in an urban situation. And difficult starting an urban chair. Number one, less sense of community and a lack of belonging, yes. And difficult to obtain community ownership or control because of heterogeneity. And people don't know each other. Hard to identify the champion and individualism. Disharmony because of differing the cultural backgrounds or tribal conflicts, and few ties between people, and more government and volunteering and survival rather than improvement is the goal, right? And unrealistic dreams, less time constantly available for volunteering. Different living standards and crowding makes sanitation and agricultural hard and social chaos, economic crisis. And people don't expect to stay. Sometimes they will leave. their slum area. And people demoralized and long-term dependence and feelings or inferiority and low security or high fear and dishonesty and corruption, injustice overlapping angels. Desire for or need for payment, materialism, and selfishness, lack of conscience. Seed funding for micro-enterprise is expensive. Distracting entertainment and drug abuse, resistant to change. Why can't you accept me the way I am? So what special things might be done to facilitate study an urban check program? And ideas for helping start an urban check. First, the focus is on individual, and identifiable and geographic neighborhood. And find a homogeneous subgroup with the large slum like pregnant single mom or children or young people and sports group and Bible studying group like that. And possibly tribes living together or group with problem in common. And encourage area pastors to meet together and pray for each other. And prayer work in the area claiming for Christ. Identify and connect, assess skills, knowledge, passions of individuals and groups within the community. And identify and connect what small groups, associations are found in the community. And participants in the key identified association meetings. Find a local champion in area, even though it's hard. Mobilize churches inside and outside of slum to help in the project. Must deal with the felt needs and interests micro enterprise and getting job in a high probability. Teach on topics relevant. Teach on topics relevant to people living in the area as identified by mapping the neighborhood. Need to develop a database of services being provided in the city and keep it updated. And develop relationships with these groups in order to send our people to obtain these services. See the community through God's eyes and try to reach out to everyone and just not provide services to the church's own members. The critical issue is beginning on urban slum program is concentrating on the finding access and finding small groups that have some things in common in order to have a sense of unity and then moving forward. Why might a local church be the best group? And the benefits of basing check on local churches. And may feel God's call to reach out holistically, biblical mandate, and recognition of the spiritual basis of social problems, used to volunteering, organized structure with supportive leaders, pastor may function as champion, and may be more trusted by the community, and source of hope, and members have concern for society. And members have networking contact with other agencies and NGOs. Sense of community, and members feel responsible for each other. And churches often have usable facilities. Recognized status makes government registration of subgroups easier, and consumers more easily reached. So way to start in urban neighborhood check program. In small, identifiable geographic neighborhoods, and want to reintroduce helping neighbor to replace professionals helping people. All people have skills, assists, and interests. And there are many different informal groups called association functions functioning in every neighborhood. Find out who they are and connect with them. And once you have identified, assessed skills, interests, create small groups built around the individual areas of interest and teach on those areas. And eventually combine interest groups to form a bordered neighborhood committee. In training, team gather information from the community. So identify the subgroups with common interests. We can make them. And each subgroups in common, they want their interest. And they should make a solution. They create the solving problems. And the community make them together and influence together and sharing what they have, the solution, the problems, then community awareness they make. And committee choose committee. And also volunteers. After that, training team train committee and volunteers. Volunteers should visit in homes. And growth group might be growth group, and we can start church planting or collaboration. So CHE is not a rural setting. Also CHE can set an urban slum. We have experienced before. We can start in your area. Find some area, slum area, no matter. Just we can start. Thank you for watching this video. See you next week.